A week after I launched my book, I was literally on the floor in the fetal position in my office. And I was literally crying and like praying, help me.
Like you hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And you're like, I gotta, come on, Kathleen, up we go.
People just need tools, and I needed tools. When I was young, I didn't have anybody in my space that was giving me the tools that I needed. And now it's like, that's my whole heart for the world is how do I take all this stuff that I learned and share it with people?
Today, I have a guest on the show, and I am not the host for once. Kathleen Gramzay is a resilience coach here in the Phoenix area that I've known for probably 15 or 20 years. Known of her work and known of her, and recently our paths crossed again. We started to realize how important resiliency was. Building resiliency into your team, training your team to be resilient, helping them manage the stress that comes along, not only with their work, but the stress that they bring to work from home, and how that translates into a better, improved culture and an environment where people are more subject to want to change and to improve the organization on your behalf. All right, here we go with Kathleen Gramzay. Again, this is one of the few episodes, I think it's the first time ever I've not been in the episode, but I did an interview with Kathleen separately that we'll run next week. All right, here we go. Kathleen Gramzay.
You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the process fix to help you see the bigger picture. Derrick is the elixir, cut and waste away like scissor. Woo! Got a problem, he can solve it. He's an expert with the process, so for sure you'll see a profit. Bottom line profit. Analyze the work your people doing every day. Expose the inefficiencies getting in the way. Advise you how to automate, outsource, abbreviate, eliminate, innovate. Now there's more food up on your dinner plate.
So Kathleen, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Waiting all day to have you here.
I've been waiting all day too. This is perfect.
My ginger girl. And you fit in too. You got that armor. Yeah. But I'm so excited to have you. We talked a little bit earlier in a different podcast about a conversation Derrick and I had this morning. And I'm like, where is Kathleen? We need her here to give us some tools. But thanks for coming. And I wanted to start off by having you introduce yourself. Tell people the amazing thing you do. And then I'm going to talk about how we selfishly want to take your skills and use it to help other people.
My pleasure.
Tell us about you.
Kathleen Gramzay. My company is called Kinesage LLC. And I am the founder, and my business has evolved to this point. It has been body, mind resilience for 20 years that started as in a massage therapy practice where my body was killing me and I had to figure out a smarter way to work or I was done. So I had this thought somehow if I could use the nervous system and movement instead of force, then maybe I could continue. And so I'm a geek, so I just figured out and basically reverse engineered how the body works and use it in reverse to release the chronic tension patterns that underlie musculoskeletal disorders like sciatica or carpal tunnel, or in my case, it was a chronic back problem I had since high school. And so I figured it out for me. And then now I said, now how I want to make this into a method of massage that's kinder and more effective for me and my clients, because I think massage should feel good. And beating people up was never my idea of like, that doesn't seem right. So I made it into a method of massage and I called it Kinesage, massage through movement. So that's where my name started from all those years ago. And when I didn't know that later I would leave the massage world and come back into corporate with it. And everybody's like, what is that? How do you say it? It's like Kinesage. So, but what I did was a couple years later, I went to a massage conference and these other therapists still had the pain I no longer had. And so it was like, oh, okay, it needs to be for them too. So I literally sat on my couch at night, and because I was working 6 days a week in my practice in Old Town Scottsdale, and wrote out everything I figured out and then became nationally certified to teach it. And so I taught both the self-care method for them, for therapists, and then the method of massage, and taught it to occupational, physical, and massage therapists concurrent with my practice. So basically, I started that a couple of years in, and then for 8 years, started that seminar business teaching, which, oh, by the way, that was 2008. So I had both of those businesses. And then in 2015, the opioid epidemic was now in my radar everywhere. Like I literally, it was like the red Volkswagen. I could not see it. I could not hear it. And I was like, what? Two businesses aren't enough? Like, really? I was like, no, you need to do this. And so I was like, all right, fine. So I'm not doing 3. So I retired from my practice. And then I kept teaching, but then I developed Kinesage Self Care into a virtual system for the public so that anybody who wanted a non-drug alternative, do-it-yourself way to clear out the patterns that cause all those soft tissue muscular disorders, they could. And then I thought, well, where can I have greater impact? Which of course is business, because 75% of the reason why people miss business work was because of musculoskeletal. So I get in there, and this is now 2016, and I get in there and I see, oh, there's a bigger problem here. And that problem is chronic stress. And this was in 2016. The reason why I could see it so clearly was so I had 2 businesses that I was running, and then I, completed one to start the second one. It was a virtual business. I had no business in this. I was kinesthetic. I mean, yes, I've done ops and I've done stuff, but I'm like, there was a point. So I wrote a book, and the system is a book and these system of videos that you do the movements, and it clears out the tension patterns and clears the pain and the problem. So a week after I launched my book, I was literally on the floor in the fetal position in my office. And I was literally crying and like praying, help me, because my next set of funding went away. Like, it was like, oh yeah, it was all in place. Oh no, it's not in place. Yep. And sales and marketing, not my skill set. Like, I was all ready for somebody else to be doing that part. And so I was either staring at the wall or crying. And I thought, I have to get myself off the floor. I literally have to get myself off the floor. Like, there is nobody else here to save me. So I had the thought again, go back to the nervous system. And so I was like, okay. So I went back. I had one technique that I remembered from when I was in massage school, but then that took me down another complete study of trauma and chronic stress and trauma and how it impacts the body and how it impacts how we think and how we feel and how we act, in addition to all the physical diseases. So it was so I would go to these companies and I would say, okay, you don't really care about your pain right now because you're too distracted. Let me help you with this. And so that's when I created Mindful Resilience. And really, and of course, leaders have the biggest impact because who you're being is your culture. Right. And so what people don't know is, so I had one CEO of an accounting firm, and she was very proud of the fact that she said, people can't tell when I'm mad. People can't tell when I'm upset. Like, you might think you do, but we've all walked into a room, whether this is at your home or your, like at work, you feel that. Somebody's got their head down. They're not even looking at you. You walk in, you're like, yeah, not the day to ask that. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's neuroception. It's literally, we are getting information from each other all the time. And when you talk about the human aspects, there is nothing more human than our nervous systems. So no matter who you are on the planet, no matter what your role is, no matter how much money you have, no matter what you do for a living, everyone who is a human being is operating from the same system. And it could be in survival mode, or it can be in the restorative great side where we get along with each other, we feel good, we stay healthy, we are creative, we have fun, we like us, other people like us, we like other people. That is all in the other side. Yep. And so particularly since COVID, think of it as the world has been in trauma level stress for over 3 years. Our nervous system, it's not meant to live there. And so there are specific behaviors that you can see in how people think. Like, they get skeptical. They get, skeptical is good. It's cynical is the issue, right? Or they, make hasty decisions. So when you think about like some of the decisions that were made, if you look at some of the financial repercussions of what we've seen, of decisions that were made during the pandemic under chaos, right? And people not being in their clear-minded, focused side, we can see that. And then it translates to how people are feeling. So lots more anxiety and depression, lots more medications. In 2019, it was that 1 in 5 were on anti-anxiety and 1 in 9 were on anti-depression. It's now 3 out of 5 and almost 5 out of 9 on medications.
Yeah.
And so,
but again, that's what I love what you did. your resilience was because you were on the floor. Like you literally hit rock bottom.
Correct.
I don't know if your floor is rock. Mine is.
No, mine
actually it's literally slate. But like you hit rock bottom and you're like, I got to come on, Kathleen, up we go. And you didn't just do it for yourself. Now you're like, there's other people out here that I can help.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and the fact that you extrapolated it to that. And I know the human experience with you during COVID had to be really interesting with the roles that you were in. And for me, I'll be honest, and I want to come back to having you talk about that a little bit. I had to be honest, like prior to COVID, I was kind of like resilience, stress relief, monks chanting on my team calls, fluff, fluff, fluff. I would go off video, I'm just going to work while the monks are chanting. But now I actively seek that out because you realize, we were isolated and I'm an introvert. So for a while, COVID, I'm like, I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to see anyone like this. My mom lives with me, so I didn't have that stress, but that wears on you, that insulation, like you're very insular and it's hard. It's hard, especially for people. I think about people who were in apartment buildings or who had loved ones in nursing homes. And we had a friend whose mother was dying and, he raised heaven and earth to get there to say goodbye to his mom. And it was like heroic and he did it. But, you think things that we used to take for granted became massive stressors. So for me, I'm looking, Sam, at Kathleen and saying, I need you to become part of the process fixer process, because we talk about, you're allowed to feel any emotion. Change is a choice, except anger, everyone. I tell you, go talk to your HR representative if you're feeling anger. But what I need is to say, and Kathleen's going to come in the next 2 weeks or so and give you the tools to be able to go to that best side of you, to that creative side, to that side where everybody feels kumbaya, for lack of a better thing. But, and Sam, I know you probably have seen the need for resilience in the work you do, particularly with younger generations who, this was out of the blue for them.
Yeah. It's just so interesting because when you're young, you think you can take the world on, right? You've got it all figured out. Oh, it's going to just open up for me. It'll be easy. And you run into that first roadblock and you're like, throw your hands up. I don't know what to do anymore. Some of the book that I read on that was Carol Dweck on mindset and just the amazing, the idea of a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. And this realization as a young kid for myself, I ran into roadblocks and I didn't know what to do and I just quit. I gave up and I had this fixed mindset early on. And so being able, just like what you were saying, there's a quote from John Maxwell that says, leaders know the way, they go the way, and they show the way. And it's so beautiful when you can, from experience, say, look, I ran into these roadblocks. I hit these walls and I gave up and I thought there was no hope. And I lived in that space for a while. And then I picked myself back up and thought, okay, what else am I going to do? And so being able to approach our young people that I worked with and say, hey, I know you've hit a roadblock. I know you've run into things that you think are impossible, but everything is impossible until it's not. So what if we just keep trying? What if we just showed up differently? What if we came together and tried as a whole? And so I'm so excited because people just need tools. And I needed tools. When I was young, I didn't have anybody in my space that was giving me the tools that I needed. And now it's like, that's my whole heart for the world is how do I take all this stuff that I learned and share it with people? Because there's young Sams out there that ran into things that don't know what they need. And we have it.
Well, what's so interesting to me about it is, and to your point, the younger generations, I feel, have an even bigger challenge. And when you look at the data, they actually have the highest levels of burnout and anxiety and depression. And it's interesting that there are a number of reasons for that. We didn't have social media to the extent that it is today in terms of the pressure, number one. The other thing is that technology is, so if you think about it, if you spend your entire day either in email or text or whatever thing is so you're basically, whatever is going on in your mind, it's your perception of what you read And it's your perception that's answering that. So there is no eye contact. There is no tone of voice. There is no, we re-regulate each other when we see each other. So that was a part of why COVID was such a challenge and all the isolation, because really we are designed to re-regulate each other with our smiles, with our kind words, with even tone. Like we were talking about when you can see and, look at somebody go, not time to come in. So for younger generations, it's even more important because older generations were raised like when you're going to meet somebody, what do? You put out your hand, right? You shake their hand, you look them directly in the eye and you smile. Those three things are cues that you're safe. Yeah. So this whole thing that it all ties into trust. It ties into
that limbic, right? You're safe.
Yes,
this
correct.
is a safe space.
Yep.
Yeah.
It ties into psychological safety. Yeah. It ties into the ability. So because safety is the determining factor of if you're going to be in survival mode or the restorative creative side. So this is why it's so critical that leaders are, first of all, that they are grounded in themselves and they are operating out of that creative and social engagement side. The other biggest piece of it is that social engagement, it is not accessible in the survival side. Literally, like neurologically not possible, not available. So what happens is that we're asking managers, right? Managers who are now in the hot seat, whether that's CEO to frontline, however that, whatever level, you are expected. And now, especially with the workforce coming back and having leverage, and they're saying, okay, you care about production, retention, and recruitment to the extent that it helps productivity. I care about my well-being. I care about my mental health. I care about DE&I, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion. And I care about my well-being. So what are you doing for me? And so it's really changed the leverage and that piece. So now they're saying, okay, well, now managers are even in a hotter seat. So I call it the stress sandwich, right? From in the middle.
That's awesome.
And what's really not fair is
the stress sandwich isn't awesome.
Stress sandwich.
I like the term.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just to be clear.
Yes, that's right. But that stress sandwich, what happens is that now you're asking people who are stressed to be socially engaged and be caring about developing somebody else. And it's not neurologically possible. So now they're stressed and that is cueing that person's stress. So it is a cycle that we re-regulate each other or we unregulate each other, depending on how you want to look at it. So that's why resilience is so critical. It's not, so you talk about, to your point about the kumbaya. And oh, by the way, we first met, you were in that space. Cause do you remember talking at a Secret Sauce? And you're like, yeah, I'm not into that. Like you actually said that to me.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Yep. And you're like, yeah, I'm not into that. Yeah. So, and because at that time you didn't see the correlation or the need and the amplification of what COVID has brought to the forefront.
It's almost like you get too busy to even consider it, right? Where you're just like, pull my bootstraps up, pull myself up, deal with it. Like this whole well-being, mental health, stress relief, stress sandwich, it's in my head. You just need to figure it out, move forward, right? Like I think there was a lot of that prior to COVID. Yeah. And then when you start realizing that stress plays such a critical role when you don't have that re-regulation, when I can't say, hey, to my girlfriends, we used to have a term, two of my girlfriends and I, that if we were stressed out about something, we would just email or text each other sushi. And that was the code word for we need to get together now.
Yes. Yep.
And I could have texted sushi 500,000 times during COVID and it wasn't happening, and it's different when phone, Zoom, it's different when you are, like you're saying, you can read signals better. You have that physical contact. And I think until all that was taken away and you were left with bare minimum of what you needed to really do, right? Because you couldn't be busy going over here and doing over there. Like you were left with the bare minimum and you're like, why do I still feel this way? Like I thought it was because I was busy,
right?
And then you have to start going, okay, maybe the monk's chanting had some validity.
Maybe there's some value to this.
Yeah, right. Maybe I need to spin my meditation wheel that I have and not use it for art and actually start using it. And then, you have, I was diagnosed with a medical issue and one of the 3 tenets of it is stress. Mm-hmm. And I figured out the diet and I figured out the exercise, but the stress part, man, I'm still struggling with it. That's why I was like, oh God, Kathleen's coming. We're going to talk to her and we're going to figure this all out. But it's real.
Oh, it's so real. And it used to be that was seen as a badge of honor, right? There's professions that got promoted based on how many crazy hours they work. Right. And how exhausted can you be? And like, that's the story around, oh my God, I worked all weekend or whatever. Now it's gotten to the point that we had to wake up because the pain got so loud that now it's just like, there is no ignoring it. And that's why, when we think about it for ourselves, right, it's an individual thing. But when organizations are made up of many individuals, it's actually the smartest business strategy there is, frankly. Yeah, right. And that's really why I do the resilience strategy as well as the body mind resilience training, is because it's like, and this is why it's such a great fit with the Process Fixer, because you guys do it from a logistical perspective. You do it in the logistical processes of taking away stress in the physical space. Right. There's stress coming with change because that makes people feel unsafe.
Massive stress.
So when you teach people how they can shift themselves, now they can be present. And so that process of the impacts of stress are much less. And you now are using it as a toggle switch. So basically it is a toggle switch, right? It's been just stuck over on one side for the survival side for COVID. Every time we shift ourselves, we're actually strengthening the restorative side, strengthening our ability to go. Because, before the deer, like any animals, right? They're getting chased. They deal with what their nervous system does what it's going to do, right? It's going to run. If it gets caught, it'll feign death, right? And then it'll stand up and shake itself off and everything's fine. It doesn't have the mind we have to keep replaying it over and over and over. So we do that as a society, right? Like if 9/11 was that, right? Let's play that thing till we just keep re-traumatizing people every year, or how often. So it's really looking at it from a standpoint of understanding that at our fundamental core, we are neurological beings. In terms of this vehicle, we are in essence, we are consciousness inside of that, right? So I'm in here, you're in there, but we have a mind that thinks. That's right. You're always in there. Your mind might go somewhere else. So, but you have a mind that thinks, a heart that feels, and a body that moves and feels, but we aren't them. But we don't know that because our emotions take us over or our thoughts take us over. And if nobody's taught you, pay attention, that's really not you. If you can observe it, you're not it, is a great way to remember that.
I think the interesting thing is like when you talk about there's a change coming, and it could be great change,
yes,
right? Like whatever, but people hear the word change and they go limbic.
Yes.
They're like in that fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode. And I think what you do is give people that ability to go pause and then elevate up where they can start like that processing of, instead of staying in that state for a very, very long time, which creates more stress because you're always now on guard and ready to go.
Right.
It allows people to kind of get out of that mode and move up and start going, okay, now I'm going to use my prefrontal cortex, or I think I'm right.
That's right.
And then say, let me do the pros and cons. Let me do my list. Let me ask questions. Let me participate in this, whatever the case may be. And that's what I really like that you do. I like that you start with leadership because let's face it, if you are working for somebody who lip services, come to me with any problem, we'll work through it, or I'm open to your ideas. But really they're like it's this person.
It's in words only. Yeah. And that's the thing. People feel that.
Oh yeah. And they know it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can say what you want. Their body's telling them it's something different.
Yeah. And honestly, what you do, you come in, you show them that strategy, and now they have a new tool that they can help. Because not everyone's a Sam. Not everyone is built with that heart for, I'm here to be here for you, basically. Right. Like I'm here to be here for you and to be here for our customers. A lot of people are not born with that.
Right.
Right. So the fact that you can actually teach that, I think, is phenomenal. And I would like to say that when I did meet her most recently, which we were very resilient because it took us 3 times to actually make the date work. But it was like one of the first things I said was, I'm so excited to listen to you, because we actually sat at this table at a networking event, and you were talking about, you were here. That's why I keep doing this. You were talking about how you started out in massage, and I was like, I need to know, like, she's been in my hemisphere for a long time now, but I'm like, I don't know what she does.
So that's how Derrick and I felt when we first.
Yeah. So we went to Schmooze, which is a great place in Old Town, and we talked and talked and talked, and it was so amazing. And I came home and I told Derrick, I was like, we have to make this work in the process. So we're meeting tomorrow about that. But
yeah, it's such a simple thing, but really when you think about it, adaptability is everything. Right? This world is not getting, the change only moves at a faster pace. Technology has taken us even faster. So the ability to be able to reset, it's not like you're not going to get triggered. That's life. Right. But your ability to reset yourself. So I had my own recent experience was, what last 2 weeks have been the hottest we've had, like however long, right? My AC went out. And so it was supposed to be for 2 days. And I'm like, okay, it's 2 days. Now, so I've been meditating for years and I have these tools. So I was like, all right, I did what I needed to do. And so I just, called a friend and said, can I come stay at your place? Sure, of course. So I do that. And then, so 2 days later, the company calls me up and I said, you calling me early, like to tell me you're coming early? She says, no, I'm so sorry. Our tech can't make it. I don't know if you can have a little heat stroke, but so now we're down somebody. So it's going to be another 3 days. So long story short, it kept like being 2 more days and 2 more days for a week. And so I found out on your thermostat, what happens after 99, because it only has 2 digits, is it says hi. That's what it said. And I'm like, and it was seriously, it was hotter. It was like well over 100 and whatever, because it was cooler. It was at 110 outside and it was cooler outside than it was. So my point about this was during the week that I had to do that, I had new client, I had proposals, I had big meetings. I was working in different places. I was staying in different places. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a hotel. And because I'm thinking it's only going to be another night. Like, what's that? Right.
If I would have known,
I would have just hooked myself up for a week and it would have been fine. But what was amazing was this is how I know these tools are so helpful, because I didn't lose my internal cool at all. Like the whole time, and yet I was consciously aware that my mind in the background was saying, okay, now logistically, I do want to get to Pilates. It's there. I'm staying over here at, 5 o'clock in the morning, or, okay, I have these meetings and then I'm going to do this. So I have to like all the other logistics. And so these are life skills. I mean, these are life skills of how to be a healthier human being, mentally, physically, and emotionally, and socially. Right. And that's really the difference that it makes.
All right. That's our interview with Kathleen. Next week, I'm going to chat with Kathleen and maybe have a little bit of a different take and perspective on this. I love having guests in the studio because I can actually send different hosts at them and get different questions and have different evolving conversations. So here we go. Until next week.
You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the process fixer. Help you see the bigger picture. Derrick Maines is the elixir, cut and waste away like scissor. Woo! Got a problem, he can solve it. He's an expert with the process, so for sure you'll see a profit. Bottom line profit. Analyze the work your people doing every day. Expose the inefficiencies getting in the way. Advise you how to automate, outsource, abbreviate, eliminate, innovate. Now there's more food up on your dinner plate.